While LeBron James has put up some stellar numbers this year in the postseason while leading the Cavaliers to the finals, there are some warning signs indicating this is far from one of his better playoff runs. Let's first take a look at his three-point shooting. When he took his talents to South Beach, you can see he toned down his three-point attempts per game slightly, and for the most part was a very solid three-point shooter. And during his bricklaying first title year, he more than made up for it with his two-point shooting. But looking at his first 3 rounds this year, and you'll see his worst shooting percentage from three-point land ever. And there is simply no balancing this out with a higher percentage closer in. In comparing his shot distribution over the past 5 years, he's taking more threes than he ever had before, yet he's shooting by far the lowest percentage of his career. The offense has much to do with his poor shooting, as it tends to stagnate as soon as it touches LeBron's hands, leading to an isolation before he finally pulls the trigger. He's also been passing up the preferable catch and shoot in order to jab step and fling up tough jumpers that clank. LeBron has been perfectly willing to stall the offense out, stop the promising movement of its initial action, to simply isolate out top on a multi-dribble move and bail out the defense. And the more he struggled, the more teams dared him to shoot it, which he was more than happy to oblige, even early in the shot clock. On many of his three-point attempts, all of the good Blatt action we have seen gets thrown out the window as LeBron holds the ball too long, waits for the screen, and then takes the easy road when the defense sags off him with 2 men protecting the paint. He also has a strong tendency to pass to a teammate only to immediately follow his pass and get the ball right back. This tends to allow the defense to easily shift into place against him, and another example where he was more than willing to walk back and shoot a tough step back. And too many of the Cavs' possessions ended up like this, where he'd walk it up, not make a pass, then burp up this bad three-point shot. That said, he has missed his share of wide open shots as well, and I can't detect anything in his mechanics that seems to be throwing him off. Perhaps the elbow is going straight up too much and not out, but it seems minor. And his decisions haven't been great either. Here's a chance to blow by a hobbled Noah as the clock winds down and the floor spaced very well. And instead he bails the Bulls defense out by tossing up another errant shot. All these bricks might not be so costly if LeBron was finishing at the rim like his usual self. Normally, he's among the league leaders in shots at the hoop, and he certainly is getting more shots from 0 to 3 feet than he's gotten by far in the last 5 years. The problem is, he's shooting at his lowest point in that time frame, unable to consistently finish his shots at the rim. And this is where it gets a little unclear exactly what's wrong, but you can see that LeBron, on many shots, doesn't get the same lift and power he used to, especially off one foot. Much of his poor shooting at the rim can be attributed to Game 3 versus the Cavs, where he got to the rim a whopping 20 times, but only converted 9 of those shots. And you can see on this possession, yet another 6-dribble isolation three-point miss, and watch how he just doesn't get off the ground well and is off balance from the start. And he'd attack from out top without movement, right into the teeth of the defense, which makes all of these kinds of shots at the rim the highest degree of difficulty. In situations where the team simply handed the ball to him to do his magic, putting his head down into the middle of the lane hasn't been the answer. And teams have been able to force him into difficult runners when he attacks the hoop on the left side, where his footwork tends to be inconsistent. A very curious advanced stat we came across was the team's net rating when LeBron was on the court versus off. You'd expect that the team would fare worse when he was on the bench, and that's been the case except for 2011 when the Mavericks goaded him into long jump shots, and then again this year. This Cavaliers team is much worse than the Wade-Bosh LeBron team considering all its injuries, so it's startling that, even in a small sample size, the team's net rating is better with him on the bench. I believe this is much more a testament to how bad the Cavaliers' opponents have been thus far, especially their second teams. So how has LeBron been able to lead his team to the NBA Finals? Take a look at his assist percentage, which represents how many of a team's total assists are from him, and it's his highest output by far in the last 5 years. An astounding 40% of the Cavs' assists are attributed to him, and this is what makes LeBron the best player in the league. He makes his teammates better than any other stars do for their respective teams. And he gets these dimes in an incredible variety. He's got great court vision in the open court and always knows when to hit the big man streaking to the hoop. And what makes him so special in the pick and roll is that at his size, he can see and create space to make great roll man passes for layups. The biggest fear is to push the ball into the immediate post-up, putting the highest amount of pressure on the defense, where he can collapse everyone into a vortex in the lane, then find cutters and shooters spaced all around the floor in the simplest yet most effective of offenses. And the basic post-up after some movement has also been the main cause of concern for every defense he's faced. He's too big for small forwards, too quick for power forwards, and his vision is as good as any passing big man in the game today. This is the only hope the Cavs have to beat the Warriors, and even with these kind of passes, LeBron will have to significantly improve at the rim and the three-point line if the Cavs have any hope of bringing a title to a city that hasn't had one in over 50 years.